Well, I noticed something. I've been using it now, reusing it. 4, 5, is it 6 weeks since lockdown? Quite regularly. And I've noticed a few things which I thought I'd share with you. Now, I'm imagining what I'm talking about is probably for older gentlemen and ladies like myself who probably want to maintain or slow down any deterioration. Not any, just deterioration. It's happening. You want to slow that a bit, maybe. If you're a younger guy or younger girl, woman, and you want then what I'm talking about probably doesn't apply to you, and possibly doesn't apply to the Bullworker, perhaps. Actually, a couple of things I noticed, if I may. I just put here that it's devoid of any superfluous and distracting fripperies. Possibly even the new one, but the two I've got, they've got no batteries in them, they've got no display window, they've got nothing that beeps and tells you how many times you've done it. Thank heavens. Just leave it simple. And actually, this is very good. I've been reading it. Very thorough. No boasting. Seems to be just to be true. I actually think this guy that you see here, I think it's possible that he got his physique simply by using the Bullworker. I recognise something about his muscularity that has been occurring with me. So they could have used somebody like Arnold Schwarzenegger or something just to sort of big it out there, but I think it's actually fairly realistic. So I like that. Now, I did try yoga. I'm a yoga newbie, so please, this could all be baloney. There were these classes at the gym, and I did them. And what I liked about it was that it was using your own body weight. So even if you have to hold a position with your hands out, you can imagine if you've got to hold that for half an hour, that's going to be an issue. So it was your own, using gravity, your own body weight against it, and sometimes your body against your body. And I liked that there wasn't some end gaining going on. In other words, there was nowhere to get to, really. It was being in the moment and doing it properly. So being aware, if you're holding your hand and you went like that, the teacher might say, why are you doing that? So the shoulder would come back down. This is what we're doing. And I noticed some similarities with the way I do it anyway. My practice now with the Bullworker has slowed down a bit because I've realised from rereading this as well to do the thing properly. And what's the rush? Being aware of your body, position and tensions. I'm going to show you outside in a minute. Just finish the video off outside. I'm much more aware of that, and I set that up before I start the exercise. I'm thinking, have I gone back to neutral? Yeah. Not end gaining, doing it properly. So end gaining is like, that's where I want to get to, and you're focused on getting there and not paying attention to the journey. So yoga seems to be very much like that, and I think using the Bullworker properly benefits from that kind of an attitude. Do the thing properly. It's the doing of it that is the thing, not getting to the end. Breathing. That's a biggie of late, the past few weeks, past week really, after having reread that and trying to integrate the full low breath, holding it, because it's harder work. But then I back off. I'll tell you a bit about backing off in a minute. But then it's harder work because you've got intercostal muscles here, you've got abdominal muscles here, you've got the diaphragm, which is a big muscle, you've got the pelvic floor muscles. So when you're doing your isometric tonic, which one's the still one? When you're doing the still compression and breathing, I've noticed that all these muscles or big muscles are working as well. So it seems to be much more efficient, and the core seems to be working. It makes it slightly harder work, but not in a hard sort of way. It's just more work's going on because of all those muscles being used. And then when you're doing the isometric, I believe it is, isometric ones where you're moving to Connect that to the breathing as well. So that's been my biggie. And my breathing is starting to sit lower, despite the fact breathing has been my thing. You can look up Browne on breathing, if you like, because of singing teaching for all these years. But this is adding a strength to it. So I'm liking that. Resetting. So it's the end of that is to reset for me your body, because you can be left with a bit of that. So once the exercise is finished, it's finished. So I go back to resetting. Maintaining, page 55. This is interesting, what they say, and I'm beginning to trust what they say, because they go through the scientific stuff. There doesn't seem to be any boasting. It seems to be just very straightforward. This is the old one, of course, the X5 from the 70s or so. It seems to be just very straightforward. Just, we've done the work. We've built the thing. This is how it works. Do what we say, and you'll get the results. That's what it seems like to me. On page 55, what does it say? Oh, about the maintaining. That's interesting. Because it does say, and there's a whole graph thing of it there. I don't know if you can see. I'll hold it there just for a minute so you can possibly remember the graph. I don't know if it's focusing on it. But anyway, it says one of the major advantages of isometric isotonic training is that it's so easy to maintain the fitness gains you make. With many other methods, blah, 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 blah. Then he goes, a single weekly Bullworker fitness workout is all it takes to keep your muscles toned up, strong, hard and resilient. So what they're saying is once you've done the initial thing, and the initial thing I didn't really do, I've kind of done it now, but I wasn't as rigorous as I should have been, where they do say do it 5 times a week. I think they say for 2 months, but 3 months would be better. So they're being very thorough, and they say once you've got that, you can then kick into maintenance training. Wow, wonderful. Once a week. Yeah. That's what they say. I have no reason to disbelieve them from what I've seen. It's maintaining, do not strain. Here's something else. They say 60 to 70%. And if you start trembling, you're doing too much. So I've backed off on some. What's 60 to 70%? What is that? You just have to use what you think. But if it starts to, as I have done, I think, why are you doing that? Do what they say. So I've backed off a bit on some. I'm just going to go outside, show you, just with one exercise, these things I've mentioned. And we'll take it from there. Firstly, an advantage of this compared to the gym is that I can do it out here. I like my wild bush. I was going to trim the grass, but I actually quite like the buttercups that are coming through. And all the stuff that's around, and sparrows come and visit when I start work and sit on the top of the fence there. And the air's fresh. So that kind of puts you in the yogic mood a bit, perhaps, being around all this stuff. This one's getting a bit wild. Incidentally, somebody said I look like Uncle Remus. Yeah. Okay, I'll go with that. Let me show you then a couple of things. I took this to some people who are newbies to it. And a guy was looking at it. And one of the first things he did when he tried it was this. Again, that's end gaining. Aiming to compress as much as possible. But they say 60 to 70%. And you're better off doing 60 to 70% using the muscles that you're meant to be using. When you do this, all the shoulders are coming to play, but actually what he was meant to be doing was this. And holding, which I can feel is completely different to that. So understand what each exercise is about. Get to the cause of it and feel it in your body is my recommendation. With the breathing thing, I wanted you to be able to see this. A lot of singers find this difficult. You don't have to do anything. But the idea really being to be able to get your breath, diaphragm comes down, displaces everything. The more you can relax here, the more it can displace, the fuller your lungs get, and the more that the intercostals swing out towards the end, and you get a full breath. And that's what they're saying. So when you breathe in, whichever one you're doing, I reset, make sure I'm not like this, or that my shoulders are not up, or I'm not doing any of this if I can. Try and get rid of yourself. Let the body stand the way it wants. You know you're going to breathe in deeply. And then you hold it for 10. I use this here, but I would recommend, don't know if you're going to hear this because of the wind, it's a lovely day, I would recommend not using this as the resistance to your breath. Because if you use this, then you can let all this go and just allow that to be the control. And as soon as you let go of that, it's gone. I think the idea is that after you've breathed in, and the same for singing actually, is that the breath is controlled on the way out. So if you take, even if I have my mouth open, I can go, you won't be able to hear, but I'm letting the air out slowly. So you understand what I'm saying? If you just use these muscles here, this lets go. Relies on this. And as soon as you release that, it's gone. There's no control. So it's feeding the air through slowly in a controlled way, which is using all these muscles around here. Earlier on there, I talked about resetting. If I'm going to do this one, then rather than just, I think before I move, let everything sit, particularly the shoulder still. Get into the position and check that everything is sitting. And then again, low breath. Starting to tremble, so I'm going to back off. Not going to hold it for 10, save you some time. And again with the repeats then, this is where I noticed a lot of work, because then you're breathing in and out as well as doing this. All these muscles are working. So I would look something like this. Not going to do the 10, so I take my time. I put the compressions in with the breath, because you don't want to breathe. You don't want to be doing that. So it's nicely paced, and I go right to the end when I finish. So rather than going and just go halfway, what's the rush? I say let it go completely, and then engage again. This is just, could all be baloney, this. Remember that. Could all be baloney, but I'm just saying what I think I've discovered it might be helpful. Pretty much it, just do as they say. Aches and pains, this one getting better. I've got a bit of an ache here. I'm keeping an eye on it. I'm not sure if it's a joint, or the muscle. I think it's the muscle. So it might be even after this amount of time, which is several weeks, things still settling down. One final thing to remember. I remember when I was at the gym, and there was a trainer called Hannah. She looked fit. When I say she looked fit, I mean in the usual traditional sense of the word. She just looked fit. I thought, she knows what she's doing. And I remember she was with her client, and they were sitting next to me on the stretching machines, and Hannah said to her client, she said, if you're short of time, cut down on your training, but keep your stretch. Cut down on your training if you're short of time, but keep your stretch session the same length. And I thought, oh, is stretching that important then? And a few other trainers I asked since then, they said yes. So to finish then, don't forget to do your stretches. I'm sure you know them all. Mine aren't very good. You can use this to stretch here. Same the other side. You can use this to stretch your pecs. You can use this, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, to stretch here. I use this, hold on to the gate here and just turn to stretch the pecs, that side, obviously the touching of your toes, and I use this one as well for here. So I'd say make sure you do that as well. Make it part of the yoga. Why not? Adios.